All right, so I just stopped the last video so I could just continue on and not have to be cut off. I apologize. I did not intend for this to take so long, but I really hope that you find the information is useful and helpful. It's really, really important information that we're covering. So again, I hope it's worth it for you. So at the very end of the last one, I was covering the quick information about what conclusions are. Don't add anything new, transition to make me know that you are concluding. Your conclusion is not just a summary or a rehash of everything you've already said, and make sure your last sentence is particularly powerful. So let's look at the conclusions. They're for the exact same essays that we looked at for the introduction, so they should sound somewhat familiar. So here's the conclusion for the first one. The video gaming industry began small over 30 years ago, and now they are included in 1 out of every 3 homes in this country. Even though video games have met several obstacles to stunt its growth, including the American video game crash of 1983 and controversy surrounding Grand Theft Auto 3, they are still growing with no end in sight. Also, technology has begun to grow much quicker these last few decades, making people ask themselves, exactly how long will it be before I can reach out and touch Mario? Only the future holds the answer, and the future looks promising. So here's what I really like about this conclusion. It doesn't transition to the conclusion really explicitly, but the fact that it says the video gaming industry began over 30 years ago, it's coming to an end. You can feel that chronologically in the paper, it's coming to an end. Do you see that? So it's really subtle. It's a really subtle transition, but he is closing it. Actually, I want to say this was written by one of my female students, so I shouldn't stereotype and say he. You'd be surprised, how the genders cross in their interests. I love it. But again, I do believe that this was a female student. But the student, regardless, just kind of wraps things up chronologically, and I like that. Also, in this, starting with even though video games, he or she mentions the American video game crash and the controversy of Grand Theft Auto. These were 2 elements that they talked about in the essay itself. Are they summarizing everything they've said? Not even close. They're referencing what they've talked about, but that's all they're doing, and that's perfect. So just because of this and this, it's still moving forward. Okay, so that's how you can connect with your paper without just summarizing everything. Very effective. Also, remember in the introduction when the student talked about how Mario began as a little 8-bit character and now he's 3D? The student is mentioning Mario one more time. That creates kind of a cap on each end. Let me see if I can think of a better way to explain that. It makes it a circle. The student started with Mario and ended with Mario. So it just makes this complete whole essay very effective, extremely effective. So please feel free to begin with an idea in your introduction and end with it in your conclusion, just like this person did with Mario. It's not an important element. It was just a tiny detail that engaged the reader in the intro, but this just closes it off so nicely, and I love that. And with the last sentence, it's saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but things are looking good. We might be poking Mario in the tummy soon. I don't know. Very, very effective conclusion. All right, conclusion number 2. It was about the advertisement that started with, the introduction started with the dreams and then moved into gender stereotypes and then drew it together for this advertisement about the cozy cottage, the rose petal cottage, my bad. All right, so here's this one. In conclusion, this advertisement is damaging to young men and women. It never should have aired, and it certainly should not have been written any time in this decade. Playing house is a perfectly acceptable pastime for a child to be their sex, but both the job of caring for one's home and the fantasies of young women have been stereotyped and pigeonholed by Hasbro's Rose Petal Cottage. Home is a wonderful place to be, but scrubbing it does not have to be anybody's dream. All right. So what about this one? Yes, this one does say in conclusion, but I'll forgive it because it's still really, really effective. And even in this first line, it's reiterating that this advertisement is bad. And that's what they argued through their entire paragraph, or through their entire essay. That's what you need to do. You need to restate your stance, not restate every point you've made. And they continue with that, saying, it never should have aired, especially not in this day and age. That's a cliche, so please don't say it. But that's what they're doing. Okay, and then they do back off and say, look, I'm not saying that it's bad to play house, but the way that this advertisement was presented, I love how they say that they've been stereotyped and pigeonholed by this silly little cottage. Now, perhaps I'm contradicting myself here. Look how it ends with a quote, dream, dream, dream. What is that? That is part of the commercial. I know you can't see it. I certainly don't remember it well enough to summarize it for you. So in this case, yes, the student is ending with somebody else's words, but she's incorporating it into her own sentence. Does that make sense? So please don't think I'm letting this person get away with something I told you not to do. If you ended with somebody's, 2-line quote, that's inappropriate. This, she's drawing in the words from the ad to make a powerful point in the end. So I hope you see why this is okay. This is totally effective. Okay? What do you think? I know you can do this. It's not hard. You just have to know how to do it. So again, I hope 4 videos is not overkill. All right, so here is the conclusion for the orange goo narrative. Again, so great. The way he describes it, it just makes you want to throw up. And apparently he did throw up. I think his dog was very, very, very old and sick. And then you've got the son that's pretty much baking this dog poop. And he has to go out there and clean it up. And it's crusty. And, it's horrifying. But, it's such a good narrative. So this is how he concludes. So, again, I don't think it's the most effective. But this is how you can conclude a narrative. On that day, my dad taught me 2 important lessons. First, you need to show forgiveness to one another. I know that my dad did not like sending me out to clean up that mess, but I acted terribly and needed to be punished. Also, I learned that you should not act a certain way around people just to impress them, because it can get you into a lot of trouble. So, this does work. I wouldn't put this in the category of extremely effective. I just wanted you to see the end, since I showed you the beginning. But what the student is doing, because it's a narrative, he's showing the point of his story. And that's extremely important to do in a narrative. So he pretty much told his story and bam, he ended with this. Yes, it could be a little more developed. Yes, there could be more of a conclusion to it. Like the way he ends on this sentence and it's just kind of like, that's it. But for a narrative, it's still effective. It's not the best. It's not great, but it's okay. And the fact that it says on that day, that's how he's transitioning to his conclusion. It's how he's drawing the point and the meaning from the story. Again, it's okay. It's okay for a narrative. So, again, I apologize. I apologize that this has taken so long to get through the information I wanted to cover for Chapter 17. But I hope it helped. If you have any questions about this, let me know. That this is the heart. This is the heart of writing and building an essay. So if you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to ask.